So mine's a bit of an interactive presentation. You've got full permission to open your phones, and if you go to zeetings.com/Mick, which should appear up on the screen in a second, due to the magic of technology, maybe. Zeetings.com, zeetings.com/Mick. Or this may be the shortest presentation I've done for a long time. I may have to go off spec. How's everyone going today? Everyone enjoy it so far? I'm one of the last presenters, so I know that I've got to be high energy, tell a couple of jokes, tell lots of stories, keep it interactive. Otherwise you're going to get bored and go to many social networks that I probably don't even know about because I'm way too old. But I'm going to be talking to you a lot about my experience building technology businesses. I was a computer programmer when I was 8 years old. I programmed Commodore 64 games because my parents were far too tight to actually buy me games. I sold computer networks when I was 16 and computers. I worked for IBM very briefly. Didn't really like working for big companies, prefer to work for small companies. I've started 8 companies. I've helped more than 1,285 companies at last count around the world. And what I do is I help people who have ideas turn them into businesses that actually get started. And that's what I'm going to talk to you today about is if you've got an idea to start a business, how you can actually bring that business to life as fast as you possibly can. So I know that might be a little bit different to some of the other talks around here today, and I'll keep going while we're trying to get the technology going. But I'll just see a raise of hands. Who actually has ideas for maybe starting a business? Who's thought, I've got an idea for an app? What about, at least there's got to be some people with ideas for apps. Who feels like they want to be the next Mark Zuckerberg, Steve Jobs, billion dollars, being an entrepreneur? Sound like pretty good fun? Okay, now we've got a bit more interest in the room. That sounds a bit more exciting. So I'm going to talk to you a bit today about some of the things I've learned over the last 20 years being an entrepreneur and helping entrepreneurs build businesses. And nicely as a backup, I've got actually all the slides on my phone here to be really fast. What I'm going to talk to you about is one of the biggest things that inhibits people from turning ideas into businesses is fear of failure. And I'm going to tell you today, I'm going to hope by the end of this presentation that everyone here has a bit of an ambition to be a failure. I know that might sound a bit strange, but I want you all to actually feel like if I can take a little bit of action now on my idea or on my business, that can actually be stronger, it can be faster, and actually can be safer than doing a lot of thinking and taking a lot of time before I actually take any action. So that's what we're going to talk about today. As I mentioned, I was a programmer. I worked at Kazaa. There was peer-to-peer file sharing. Anyone get a whole bunch of music from Kazaa? You guys might be too young still. We've got a couple of the older guys. You're probably all onto BitTorrent and those things now. I want to tell a quick story about a guy who he won a major competition because he failed faster than anybody else. He's a guy named Paul MacCready. So about 60 years ago, anyone heard of the X Prize, where you get $1 million if you can go into space and those sorts of things? They've been having X Prizes for the last 100 years, and there was one about 60 years ago to create a glider. It was basically, can you create a plane without an engine that flies up and back? And a lot of people wanted to win this prize because it was about $1 million back then. And what they would do is they would build a plane. They would take 6 months to build a plane. They'd fly it, it would crash, and they'd take 6 months to build another plane. And a guy named Paul MacCready, he looked at the opportunity. Actually, you can just go to zeetings.com/Mick on any browser with web access. There we go. Hey, there's Paul. G'day, Paul. So what Paul did was actually said the problem is not creating a glider. The problem is creating a plane without an engine. The problem is that the planes take too long to make. So he said, what if you could make it almost a disposable plane? What if instead of 6 months to make a plane, we could do one in 6 weeks? So he thought about a whole new way of building a plane. He built it in 6 weeks. He still failed, and then he failed again, but he was failing faster. And he actually won the prize within 6 months. And it's a great story, and it's really worth reading up about for learning about that fast failure can actually be the fastest way to success. A lot of times people think, I've got an idea, I shouldn't share it around because somebody might steal it or somebody might take it and run with it. I've got to have first mover advantage. It's something you might study. It's actually that someone did a study on first mover advantage and then they changed their mind 5 years later and actually realised that first mover is actually a disadvantage. And what we see now is actually that fast mover is the big advantage. The people who can move the fastest and learn the fastest are the ones who win the big opportunities. Absolutely, it's about fast mover advantage. That's the thing I encourage you to do is why in the next 24 hours, if you can do one thing to action on your business, you'll at least be on the journey to moving towards success. And this is the view that I think from when you start school through to in your corporate life, you start slowly getting the view that failure is bad. It's like we want 100% on a test, this question's right or wrong. Primary school, high school, university and corporate life, it's a lot of the story that's given is about that failure is bad. And one thing I want to add to your journey, no matter what path you take, is that failure can actually be very, very good. Now, who here, when they recently had a really big success in their life, spent weeks afterwards just going, oh my God, how did I win? How did that actually happen? How did I succeed in that moment? The reality is when we succeed, we champion ourselves and we yell and scream, but we don't actually learn much from the process. But we do learn a lot more from failure. When we fail, when we get something wrong, we sit back and we say, how did that happen? What did I do? What could I do better next time? So failure is actually really, really valuable and in fact essential to success as long as there's learning from it. And in the startup technology world that I work in, that's exactly what we do every single day, every single week. We say, go and do a small test. If it fails, that's fine. Just make sure you learn from it, then go do another test. And you'll move forward. So we created a word from it. This was actually originated in Australia. It's like taking off globally, flirning. Anyone guess what it means? Learn through failure. So we're trying to turn failure into a positive word here. To flirn. To fleur is human. So we want to encourage all of our entrepreneurs and all of you here today to think about that flirting is good and that flirting can actually be a part of the process moving to success. This is the process we go. It's obviously very, very complicated. You think about it a little bit, you try it, you see the results, you learn from it. And the game's not over. You go again. You think about it a bit more, you try it a bit more, you see some different results, you learn from it. And you go round and round and round and round and round. Possibly thousands of times. One of the biggest misnomers, and I asked the question right at the front, one of the biggest misnomers about building successful companies is you have one brilliant idea and someone gives you a bunch of money for it, you build it, customers come in, shower you with money, and Google buys you for $1 billion. It doesn't happen like that. You go through thousands and thousands of laps of trial, failure, and moving forward inch by inch. And that's the real test of an entrepreneur, is someone has the determination and persistence and a thick skin to be able to survive through this process over and over and over again. I work with a number of entrepreneur programs, and it's one of the biggest determinants of success is the optimism to be able to look at failure and to move forward. Which of these two businesses would you invest in? One of them has $34 million in cash, 8 million users, it's got a good product, 14 features. And the next one, so you can do this on your phone if you're at zeetings.com/Mick. The next one has no money, 20,000 users and only 2 features. Which one would you invest in, A or B? Oh, you know it's a trick question. Okay, looks that's too obvious. Does anyone know what business I'm talking about? B is Facebook, A is Friendster. Back in 2004, 2005, 10 years ago, that was Friendster. They had a lot of money. Sounds like a good deal, right? A lot of money, a lot of users, good features. They looked like the safe bet. But what Friendster was doing, they actually tried to please the whole world at once. They tried to create one product to please everybody straight away. And what Facebook did is they went step by step. They started with just Harvard University students, and they made them ecstatically happy. And then they went to other universities in the US, then other high schools in the US, then other universities around the world. I was not at university at the time. It took me 3 years before I could even get an account with Facebook. They intentionally blocked people out because they wanted to embrace the theory of fast learning and growth and organic growth. Whereas Friendster were like, this is for everybody. We're trying to please everybody at once. And the end result was they pleased nobody. And Facebook beat them. So it's a really interesting story about that kind of success. But Facebook didn't build like this. If you've seen the movie Social Network, you don't get drunk on a Friday night, get angry at your ex-girlfriend, code something in, Justin Timberlake gives you $1 million, someone gives you $1 billion. It doesn't happen that way. It's a whole lot of hard work. That's my old Facebook, well, a couple of months ago. You can tell that's already old. So how fast do you learn now? So I want to do a quick test. So if everyone can put their notes and their phones down, this is the post-lunch little bit of activity I want you to test. This is a test of how good you might be as an entrepreneur. Oh, my time's up. Oh, thank you. No, okay, keep going. This is a quick test to see how good you are as an entrepreneur. You need your legs available, legs not crossed. It's a quick test. I want everyone to do this simultaneously. Does anyone have a video? Come up here and get a photo of this. This is going to be really funny. Come up. Yeah, come stand up here. You're going to photo everybody because they're about to look really, really silly because this is a tough test to do, okay? It's really worth doing. It's a good test. I encourage you to do it. It's very, very simple. All you have to do is this. Let's go. Whoever can do that the fastest. Come on, let's go faster. Don't poke yourself in the eye. We've got this going on. We've got some YMCA happening. Okay. Okay, that's enough. That's very good. You can practice that more in your own time. 2 things about that. Did you have the courage to give it a go? Did you carry it? Have a go? Fantastic. The second one is whenever your right side of your body touches your left side of the body, that's your left and right brain actually interacting. And they're both sides of your body. You need to be an entrepreneur. You need to be really, really creative and entrepreneurial, and you need to be really diligent and hardworking. But that was really just a bit of an interlude for me to actually get your bodies moving and thinking about something different. But it's a good little test to see how fast you've learned now. We've done the right brain, left brain test. So I'm just going to talk to you about a couple of common mistakes that entrepreneurs make when they build their first businesses. And here's a quick note. Vast majority of entrepreneurs will fail their first business. Not just fail little times, but the actual business itself will fail. Richard Branson, Elon Musk, Steve Jobs has failed a number of times, Mike Cannon-Brookes from Atlassian, Matt Barry, myself. A lot of entrepreneurs fail their first business, and I'll go through a couple of common mistakes. And this is what Friendster did as well. Most people, when you go after a business, you think of a big opportunity, they try to look after all the customers at once, and that's a big mistake. The goal of a startup is to find a small group of customers that you delight and give massive amounts of value to. And my big encouragement for you to do is to start with those customers that need it the most. Okay, start with those customers that need it the most. Facebook did this accidentally, but then very strategically, they actually focused on a very small set of people within one university, waited till they were ecstatically happy, and then they grew out from there. Vast majority of companies fail because they are unfocused. They try to satisfy too many customers at once with too many things in too many ways. What you're looking for is a small bit of value that really works, and you grow from there. Piece by piece by piece, customer segment by customer segment by customer segment. Does that make sense? And here's a quick view. If these people here don't want it, then the people down here definitely aren't going to want it. So focus on the people who need it the most. No one is going to try a brand new product that has no documentation, no support, no background of brand, no many years of security, unless they get massive value out of it. The number I look for in a new opportunity is 10x value. Not 10% better. Your product has to be 10 times better, an order of magnitude better than the current opportunities out there. Now, who thinks Facebook's going to get beaten by a company that's a little bit better? Who's going to beat a bank? Who's going to move houses to save a little bit of rent, or to move phone companies to save $1? People are going to move to have significant value creation. So focus on a small set of customers who get massive value out of what you're going to be providing. That's the first bit of advice. The second one is, hand up who's a software developer in the room. Any coders in the room? Hands up high, come on, be proud. You guys are the ones that everyone else is going to be coming to and asking for help later on. But one of the problems with software developers is they can actually sit down and code the full product. And my encouragement to you as programmers and to all entrepreneurs is to actually don't code first. Go and try to sell a product directly. Go and try to sell a product straight away without any code. A quick test. Who's got some ideas? If I said to you, you need to come up with a customer in an hour, what could you possibly do to get a customer in an hour without any product, without any lines of code? What could you do? Sorry? How would you get them excited? How would you reach them? Where do you find them? Walk out in the street. Very, very good answer. Get out of the building. Go and see your customers. Your customers are not sitting at your computer waiting for you. They're out there somewhere else. Get out of the building is a great answer. What else could you do to go and find customers? Free donuts. That's right. But you've got to find them first before you actually give them free donuts, right? If I put a box here and said free donuts to my customers, unless they're students, they're unlikely to come swarming in. So you've got to get out of the building and then you give them free donuts. Kickstarter is a good way to go and pre-sell your product. If 1,000 people on Kickstarter buy your product, it's worth building your product. The most dangerous thing you can do is build a big product and then hope that somebody wants it. Find out if somebody wants it first. It's hard work, but it's much easier and much more fulfilling to build a product people want than to build a product that you hope people want. What else could you do? Get in a forum and try to talk to people and say, would you buy this product? You can pick up what else can you do? Social media. But you've got to make sure you actually ask people if they want to have something. Same with you can pick up the phone. I've started multiple companies where we sold the product 10 times before we wrote a line of code. So the manual test. What can you do manually to actually see if anyone wants this product? 10x, the customers who really want it, before you even write a line of code. There's a really good example of this. There's a company called Aardvark. They were 6 software developers and people from Stanford University. They wanted to build an amazingly advanced artificial intelligence Q&A system where you ask a question in one end, it routes that question to someone in the world who can answer it, and then it routes the answer back to the person who asked the question. They ran the whole business with a Google Talk account and a spreadsheet. So they ran the whole business initially for 6 months. They had all of them on the Google Talk account. Someone would ask a question, they would copy and paste the question into another window and ask other people to answer it. Then they would copy and paste the answer back into the window and into the other window and give it back to them. And I was a user, I thought, this is magic. Wow, how amazing is this? Somebody in Ohio answered my question. But it was completely and utterly manual. Google bought them for $65 million before they even wrote a line of code, purely based on the lessons they learned running this manual test, because they were able to do it thousands of times without a product. There are many, many ways you can actually be your product before you make your product. So there's a couple of things I've talked about. Learn your way to success, embrace failure. I might have skipped it as a slide. Who's heard of WD-40? Haven't heard of WD-40? Does anyone know what it stands for? Water displacement number 40. Well done. It was their 40th attempt to get it right. How's that for easy marketing for you, right? I'm glad they didn't fail on number 38 and get on 30. What WD-39 wouldn't have the same ring, but that company failed 39 times before they got it right, and every business, you assume you're going to fail at least 39 times before you get it right. Learn your way to success. What's your fast customer? What's the customer that needs you the most, that has 10x pain that you can find and get access to straight away? And how can I manually test this business before I go write a line of code? How can I find customers, sell to customers, get customers happy? That's it from me. There are my details up there if you want to contact me and hound me and be a part of any of the programs I'm involved with. But if we have some time, I'm happy to open up for some questions. 5 minutes. Question. It was mainly to wear it to places like this and have people ask that question. But look, this was a Pollenizer shirt, and every year we used to make a different shirt, and we wanted to get the word Flern out there. So hacking is, everyone knows, building products. Hustling is going to get customers, and Flirning is just making sure you know there's going to be many, many steps in the process. So I don't think they're available to sell anymore. They might be available on eBay from some of the ex-Pollenizer staff, but mainly to encourage you to Flern lots and lots and lots. Yep. Most successful product to help with, depends how you define that. There's products I'm really passionate about, which are going to take years before they succeed. We built a company called Spreets, which we sold to Yahoo in 13 months. I've got another business which is going to be 10 times as big, but it's 6.5 years in. It's still going. It's probably going to take 15 years before that business reaches its ultimate success. Lots of it. Kazaa got to 300 million downloads and 50 million users, but I think it's still underachieved. And the main thing is I enjoy the journey. I enjoy the learning. I enjoy working in small teams. The thing I love about startups is you're one step away from every part of the whole business, and you're learning yourself. Your own learning is really, 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 really fast. I'm going to go this point. My biggest failure, if you go to my LinkedIn profile, you can see a list of 10 of my big failures. I sold 10 computers to a company once, and I went in and installed them, and I had the monitors on the wrong setting, and they all blew up. They all blew up. It cost me I was only 17 at the time. It cost me a lot of money, but I started a little bit of attention to detail then. But really, I got more people around it. At Kazaa, we got sued by $800 billion worth of companies. That wasn't that much fun. But that wasn't much as a failure, rather than you realise who you're going up against in terms of competition. I'll go to this guy here. Yep.
Okay.
Say it again.
I would just stand up like this. I don't know.
Say again the mic.
What inspired you to take on a job like this?
Like this today? Well, my rough guess is that most people here today are going to go, that was a little bit interesting, I'm not sure what I'm going to do, I'll go back home and play Xbox. But if I can inspire just one person to think that entrepreneurialism is a career path, that building technology companies is something you can do, Get along to Fish Burners, get along to any of the events, meet entrepreneurs. If I can inspire just one entrepreneur to think differently and do something in 24 hours, here's my promise. If somebody wants to email me before 9 o'clock tomorrow morning with a URL, I promise to share that URL of your startup to my entire network of investors and entrepreneurs. 901, nothing. So you show me about if you can actually act fast and learn fast, get me a URL in my inbox by 9 o'clock tomorrow morning and I'll share it to my network. Deal? Okay, excellent. We've got one up here.
Okay.
Hang on, my phone's ringing. Should I take it? No.
Okay, I give up.
Sorry, question here? Actually, sorry, grab me afterwards. There's one here that's closer to the mic. Convenience helps sometimes. No, one behind you. One behind you, that guy, yep, right there.
Is it good to start a business with a website?
Via a website? Yeah, absolutely. I think you can start a business with a website. Start it with a landing page that tries to sell the product. So just put up a landing page and run Google ads to it and try to sell a product. Sell it 10 times and then go build a product. Having customers is a great motivation to go and build products. Products don't necessarily bring customers, but customers are great to have instead of... Is everyone ringing me from the floor? Is that what's going on? That's funny. Hello, who's this? Who's calling me? Is it somebody in the room? I'm going to put out your phone number. I'm going to share your number out, so thanks for the call. Right here, yep, near the mic.
What are some of the big names that you've helped promote over your time helping entrepreneurs?
A lot of the companies I've been working with are still companies that haven't broken through, and most of the companies you deal with, the companies you hear, like the consumer companies, is like 1% of all the companies that actually exist. Vast majority of companies are fairly boring, behind-the-scenes things that either work in enterprise, work in corporate, in security. One of the companies I work for is a digital publishing platform called Oomph that powers a lot of tablet and mobile publishing that you would have used. But some of the bigger companies I worked with, I currently work for Telstra actually. So I currently work for Telstra, helping them run an entrepreneurial program. I've worked for BBC, worked for a couple of different companies. I think we're almost out of time. We'll have one more question near the mic up there, whoever he hands it to.
Does failing cost a lot, like in business? If you fail a lot, like will you be losing a lot of money from it?
Well, that's the goal, is to fail as fast as you possibly can with as small amount of money as possible. I've launched business with $12.50 and a landing page. Like you can go to WordPress.com, set up a website, send customers to it, either run Google ads or do other things to get people coming along. You want to do it. You want to spend a small amount of money as possible. I see more businesses fail by having too much capital than having not enough. We're out of time, everybody. You've got my details. I'm going to hang around just outside for another half hour if you want to come and grab me. Well, I expect about 4,000 text messages and subscriptions to some social networks. Thank you for your time, everybody.